feeling this out. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's over, Marin City. Came to an end. 15 years. Not bad, eh? They still didn't know I was there. 15 years. The last day they had a giant event where we are. And never. Usually it's like dog vaccines. Or this was firemen, fire department. Yeah. Oh. This is your last time day? Yeah, this is it. Yeah. Oh, wait. Let's do this. So we're just gonna chill for a little while and oh, Fitbit. What an incredible. It's cool here, right? Very nice. You're gonna get stopped at the airport if you wear that. They're just gonna pull you in for the sake of it. Yeah.
Who are you talking to?
Here, see him. He's got an interesting outfit. Yeah. Can you see it?
Sort of. Is like a one-piece thing, or?
Yeah. Here, would you please stand up for the Zoom segment? Let me see who's there. He's
Oh,
all right.
selling
Here he is.
mattresses.
Very cool. I think he'd fit in India, though.
India, yeah. African, yeah.
Or Africa, yeah.
South African. All right. We'll take a few. Oh, it's only 6:58. Well, yeah. Yours well, bro? Yeah. We're gonna go eat right around the corner. Yeah, we're gonna eat the water too. Yeah. Yeah. Maybe a downgrade from here. Let's get used to it.
I don't know if I can do that.
I know. Oh yeah. I don't know yet. 20 now, and then we'll see what happens. From all over. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, I guess so. Some of them I've met live. Mike from Mexico, we went down there and did some talks. Lindy, Kerry in Hawaii, Kathleen down in don't say Delaware, Pennsylvania. And Frank's down in Arizona. So yeah, it's a bunch of different locales. Probably they found it from the website. Yeah. Zen Bitch Slap. Ali is the Zen Bitch Slap hairdresser. Yeah. Yeah. They did a great job. They did a great job. Yeah. Yeah. There's Robert Corkery, but it looks just like Shannon Corkery. Hey, we're gonna do introductory today. Yeah. Yeah, we'll have to.
I'm gonna see if I can last an hour on the bicycle tonight.
Oh, what?
I'm gonna see if I can last an hour on my bicycle tonight.
Oh, really? Yeah. We'll try. We'll take it easy on you. We'll go slow. Chris is running. He's doing a 5K tomorrow for Alameda. There's water here if you want any. Yeah. All right, let's start, I think, soon. And welcome, everybody. Let's again thank Heidi for the lovely space. This is just the way. Yeah. So non-duality is not two. Yeah. Simple, not two. And if you ever heard, I don't know what people use, if they use Ramana Maharshi or anyone. You ever hear of him? Yeah, so Ramana Maharshi, a lot of people wrote about his teachings, and if you read a lot of them, there's certain things he says in all of them, but maybe in different ways. And it's usually prefaced with the problem or the greatest mystery, and he emphasizes it. So one of the statements is the greatest mystery, being ourselves reality, is reality wanting to attain reality. And so the statement is being ourselves reality is and the greatest mystery is being ourselves reality as reality wanting to attain reality. Yeah. So he presented something. The way I look at non-duality, it's more of a negation of stuff, not an affirmation of stuff, because the affirmation is just not noticed. It's already affirmed, being ourselves reality. That's not a condition that we were in and lost, or a condition that we're going to do something to arrive at. It's a present tense condition, being ourselves reality, not becoming reality or losing it and gaining it again. So why it's the greatest mystery, and the more interesting part of it, is why reality is trying to attain reality. And so he explains why. And he says there's a presupposing of a non-existent thing, which is the body. Yeah. And it's obviously a non-existent body is not that which is presupposing. So there's a presupposing of a non-existent thing being an existent thing. Yeah. And hey, Noah, here's an existing thing. And taking itself to being an existent thing, it's now looking for salvation for the existent thing. Yeah. But the fact is, it's a non-existent thing, presupposing the non-existent thing. So that's the statement, just like being ourselves reality is the fact. This is another fact. It says there's a presupposing of a non-existent thing. So I shared a lot of times, and a lot of people probably have had the same experience. It happened when I was young. I had an Uncle Fred, and I grew up, he was a friend of the family, and around, I think, 9, he had passed away, and my mother took me to the funeral, and it was an open casket, and she said, "Do you want to say goodbye to Uncle Fred?" I wasn't that keen on that idea, but she grabbed me by the hand, and I looked into the casket, and I had a very direct hit. That ain't Uncle Fred. Yeah. So I saw the non-existent thing not being motivated or lit up or amplified by I am or the existence. Yeah. And it was obvious it was not Fred. Yeah. And so I just went about my day, but it logged in there somewhere. And then in hindsight, after I started hearing these ideas, I realized not only that I was taking Uncle Fred to be the non-existent thing, I was taking Paul to be the non-existent thing. So I was just projecting my own identification as the thing onto the other thing called Uncle Fred. And one thing I was not seeing with me because I was alive, it was clearly seen because Uncle Fred was dead. Yeah, and there was a huge difference. An unanimated body is quite different than an animated body. Yeah, and so it whacked me. So it says the presupposing of this non-existent thing, which is the body, and it's being presupposed, which means there's time involved. So the non-existent thing is being presupposed to be an existent thing. Yeah. So existence gets mixed up with the body. Or you could call subjectivity gets mixed up with object. Yeah. This is non-duality. That's all it is. It's saying not to that. Yeah. So we're not trying to say not to as the non-existent thing. We're saying not to about the non-existent thing. Yeah. Because we are existence. Yeah. We're not embodied. We don't appear as a thing. You cannot perceive it. Yeah. You cannot touch it or taste it, but it's here. Yeah. And so that is what we are. Now, how everything is appearing is as things. And therefore, the head has attributed existence to the thing. So now you believe, instead of believing that you're consciousness, you believe you're a body that's conscious. Yes. And it says this is the basic, this is what triggers the greatest mystery of reality, aka us seeking for reality. Yeah. It wasn't like, oh, this is just a wild thing. Reality is seeking for reality. No, there's a premise why that seemed to be a logical move. Yeah. And it's because mixing up the existence with the non-existent thing and now taking the thing to be that which is existing. Yeah. And he says, in this insane condition, the greatest mystery is that which has not changed, which is being ourselves reality. We're not now living a reality of being a thing. Yeah. And and that thing may get to a point that the thing ain't working so well. It may want to attain reality as the final elixir or the final solution to all of its troubles. But basically, what he explains next is your spiritual practices themselves are reinforcing the non-existent thing. So while reality is taking itself to be this thing and it's practicing spirituality to become more real, let's say, it's doing the exact opposite of what we believe it is. It's reinforcing the identity as a non-existent thing. And then basically he tops it off with, and how can it destroy it? Yeah. So that which you think is going to bring about a change is also only reinforcing something. Yeah. And this is an invitation, and hope maybe many of us probably have 80, 90 years of spiritual seeking here. This is an invitation to see, does that shoe fit? Do you feel like this is exactly what I was doing? Yeah. I was using reality to seek reality. And in the seeking for reality, I was denying the reality that I am. Yeah. It says, if you have ever heard of the Course in Miracles, he does it in another way. He says, actively denying what you are. Now, you stop anyone on this lagoon today, and you go, you're actively denying what you are. No one's, what? Oh, no, I was just getting the paper. I just freaking, what do you mean I'm actively denying what I am? Well, you're actively denying what you are because you're firm in faith in this something else that the head has made to be you. What? Yeah. So that you can see. Yeah. That you can see. Firm in faith is if something that's not happening is overriding what's happening in your life, that is the result of a huge amount of faith and thoughts. It is. Yeah. How can a thought of next week affect you now? Unless there was faith in next week and the thought. Because there's no next week. Yeah. You would be feeling the effects of being afraid of next week now. There's no other moment in time that you can feel any effect. Yeah. But it would be, as the Course says, it would be an uncaused effect. Yeah. You have a belief that next Tuesday is going to suck, and therefore you feel very, very uncomfortable now. That has not been caused by a cause. It's made up. Yeah. And what can do that but faith? As Jesus said, hey, this stuff is done according to your faith. He wasn't just talking about healing. He was talking about everything, basically. It's done according to your faith. Yeah. So if you have faith in the head, you're going to be occupied by a lot of yesterday and tomorrow. If your faith is not in the head, you're probably going to be enriched by that faith now. Yeah. So the power of faith, not of faith, but faith, the power of it is based on the vehicle it's put in. Yeah. So if there's faith in the thoughts, it's gonna produce a lot of shit that's actually not happening. Yeah. And then in the community I come from, recovery, we have mixed up fear, which is a valid emotion that's meant to show up when there's an apparent threat, so that you either fight or take flight, is now being provoked or mimicked by mental anxiety. Mental anxiety. There is not an apparent threat and the person is petrified. Only faith could bring that about. Only faith. Yeah. So the faith in the thoughts produce these effects. If the faith is not in the thoughts, and the difference you can see is if the thoughts are held as yours and you call them yours and mine all day, the faith has already been in there. Yeah. If you see thoughts as thoughts, there'll be a freedom from them. Yeah. Because your thought that's driving you crazy today does not drive me crazy. But the same thought, if I called it mine, could drive me crazy. Yeah. But as long as I see it as yours, I can feel sympathy, but I'm not fucking acting out from it. But the same thought, exact same thought, if it was accompanied with the word my, it would have that power that it has on you. What is that but faith? Yeah. So Ram Maharshi, simple. And this is how it came to me. If the non-existent thing to appear to be the existent thing takes time, yeah. And if time has things that come before and after, I would imagine if something came before all and every other process, it would be the most influential process. So if you watch the head, if you do something, you feel like the doer of it in a half a second, yes? And not only do you feel like you're the doer of it, you feel like you've been a historical doer. You've been doing it, every doing that's ever been done through you, you did it, yeah? The weight is unbelievable, yeah? So, hey, Mia, yeah? Nice to see you, Mia, yeah? All the nice chairs are taken, so come with the common folk. Come sit with the common folk, yes. This bourgeois, yes, come over here, yes. I got chapped hands, I work, do something. Let's go. So this idea of thought, my thought, we used to do that simple thing where you put money, health, and relationships, yeah? And I'm going to change the word without changing any letter of the word. I'll change the meaning of the word completely. Money. I wish everyone here to have a lot of money. My money. I don't want any of you to have any of my money. But my changes the whole meaning, doesn't it? Without changing any letter, you've just made a huge difference in the meaning the money has. If I call it my money, I don't want any of you to have it. If it's money, oh, great. I wish all of you have a lot of money. Yes? I mean, why do you need to study 50 pages? Just use one example. If you see whatever is after my gets influenced by my, and there's a weight gets shifted, yes? And the whole idea is we're living as a non-existent thing, but as an existent thing. And then going all the way hither and thither and da-da-da. And that's the premise, that's the falsehood right there. And that's what Ramana said. There's a presupposing of a non-existent thing being an existent thing. Yeah? If that's the case, and he said it is the case, your spiritual practices are reinforcing the non-existent thing as the existent thing? How can they destroy it? And I hope you've been involved enough with stuff that you see the success of it all as failure. Yeah, because if you are reality, the greatest thing for you to have in all your attempts to arrive and get would be failure. So then you would finally see, first of all, it's the emphasis is all the difference. Someone who's trying to get something and he can't get it, they're super pissed. But in this case, when you realize you can never get it because you are it, it's hallelujah. Yeah. Same statement, but the emphasis is completely different. Someone is still trying to get something that it's never going to get. And enough people have tried to get something they're never going to get, and they finally got it, which is the failure of trying to get something you're never going to get is the success. Yeah. And then it's like a hallelujah. So if you're looking almost like a moving train, how are you going to see what's already still? How are you going to see it? That's what we just read something. Someone sent me something from Nisargadatta or something. And he basically said, be still and silent. That's all. That's basically he said, be still and silent. That's basically the best you can do. And that would be terrible news. Yes, but it's the greatest news because you are what you're looking for. You are what you're looking for. It doesn't say you are gonna be what you're looking for, and you have a lot of requirements to complete to be what you're looking for. It says you are right this second what you are looking for. Yeah, and no, you are what's looking right now is what you're looking for. No, what's looking right now? What's looking right now? Yeah, you mean I don't have to direct the looking? I don't have to pinpoint it. I don't have to have it surgically sharp to get something or like a laser. No. What's looking is what you're looking for. Any kind of looking. Concentrated looking, relaxed looking, out to lunch looking. It's still the awareness that we are. Yeah. How you look while you're looking, what you're looking at while you're looking, doesn't matter. We are what's looking. We are what we're looking for. Yeah, because it says what you're looking for is what's looking. Yeah. What? Yeah. Isn't that beautiful to me? Yeah, it's incredible. Because if you finally get it, you see everything that has failed and bummed you out was meant to fail you. Yeah. It was meant to fail you. Just like they say, if you see the Buddha on the street, shoot him. Yeah. Why is that? Why would the advice be shoot the Buddha if you see him on the street? Because you've just projected your own Buddhahood onto him. Yeah. You've allowing him to be the Buddha. And in doing that, you're not allowing you to be the Buddha. Yeah. So you crown him to be the Buddha. And at that same moment, you're actively denying Buddhahood. So they give you the simple message, shoot the fucker. Now, what? Yeah. Shoot him. So there's no projection that can go. And there you are, you're left. And maybe, just maybe, God forbid, you're the Buddha. Yeah. But the Buddha wouldn't be doing what I'm doing. Who says? Yeah. And then you every time the Buddha wouldn't look like this. Who says that? And you see you're not that. Yes. Every reaction. See, we're having an experience, right? When you were a kid, were you observing the observed? You were just the observed. Yeah. Your mother was observing you. Nothing was going on. You didn't have something inside you looking at what you were doing. I remember it. I remember when I was running around the Nichols house and my family's house, when we were both 3 years old and we were naked and we were running around this little grass alley. And then my mother stuck her head out the window and she looked at me and she yelled. And I saw by her dislike that I did something. Then I was always wearing clothes after that. And soon thereafter, the head started to observe the observed. Yeah. The head started to observe and think about the observed. Yes, this thing, this action figure, which is the observed. Yeah, it is not the observing. It's the observed. Yeah, and there was a freedom in it. literally, when you were a kid. And then 4 or 5, it came to a point that whatever I did was always accompanied by a thought, always. Yeah. So the observed was having the action and the reaction, but there was an observing that started to produce a discomfort or an unease or a weirdness. Because when I looked inside, I didn't find anything. Yeah. And it made me uncomfortable. And as it went on, it got a little bit crazy. And then it led me into wanting to get some relief at 12 years old with the drinking and the drugs. Yes. So what non-duality is, you're not the observed and you're not the observing. Yeah. So what happens when people become self-aware? They start becoming aware of their behaviors and their actions, which they never really knew before. They didn't know they were being an asshole. And then enough people, hey, you're an asshole. And then they maybe get a view of it and go, wow, I'm a fucking asshole. And there's a revelation and maybe it changes them. Yes. So there's the observed, just doing what it's doing. Now the observing, yeah, has caused, let's say, discomfort, but there's some value because you see, wait a minute, the observed is selfish, self-seeking, whatever. But the thing is, the observing, yeah, is the dilemma. Because when you leave the observed and now you're living completely in the observing, yeah, it's basically you can't sit on the throne or take a shit. It gets so fucking weird. Like you hit a street like hate and you think your whole life is going to change if you go left or right. Yes. It becomes massively important, like a planet Paul with everything orbiting around it. And you want fucking relief. Yeah. And so you'll do something. You'll either drink or do something like that to get relief. And then you start finding out a lot of shit, which is, hey, the type I am, I'm willing to pay any consequence tomorrow not to feel uncomfortable now. That's fucking mind-boggling. So I'm never going to learn to stop. No, I'm never going to learn to stop. Yeah? Wow. Another thing I learned, when I seem to be managing my life, it leads me to being managed by others. Wow, that's fucking weird. You would think my best interests would promote a better life, but my best interests were really defeating me. Yes, that's insane. To the point where I could look at people in a room and if I didn't know them or they didn't know me well, they could probably do a better life with running my life than I do. That seems weird, right? You would think that if you're so engaged in your health, it would promote health, but it actually promotes illness a lot. Yeah. You're so obsessed with being well, it's causing you to be ill. Yeah. So the observing, the magnification grows and grows. And then what happens? You hit another aspect, let's say spirituality. And now you start getting freed from the observing. Yeah, which is pretty cool. So the observed, you're living a simple life. It makes it easier. You're not fucking around so much. And now the observing doesn't have as much material, yes, to work with. But what happens is there's now another observing of the observing. Yes. So now the one observing becomes the thief, and then the other observing is the policeman. Yeah. And a lot of people who've done a lot of shit, they don't get that. They don't see the second observing. Yeah. They believed what they observed wasn't them and what's observing is them. Well, in fact, I humbly believe that's not true. I believe what's saying it's observing you and as you is not you. Yeah. And then when you catch that, you're going to catch it again because it's going to do the same thing and become the second observing. Yeah. It's a trip. And if you can catch it both ways, it doesn't go that much farther. Yeah. This is why it's non-40. It's not non-40 or non-33 and a half. It's non-2. It's not 2. So the one observing is seen not to be you, but it's usually seen not to be you from another observing. Then you see that second observing as not being you, and then something occurs. There's some space there, yeah? And then hopefully the idea that you were doing it and its choice you realize it's mechanical. So basically, if consciousness brings us into a moment and you feel something or hear something or taste something or experience something, the mental state is going to claim it and say you are the experiencer, the seer, the feeler, the taster, the toucher. Yes? And it's mechanical. You're not doing that. And therefore, when you believe you're doing it and you try stop doing it, it doesn't work because you're not doing it. It's mechanical. And first of all, when you would rather not do it, but you've already done it. It's so fast, yes? And then you go, I shouldn't have done that. But the fact is, it's too late. You already did it. You know what I mean? So you can't get out of it. So now you're trying to work behind the 8 ball, trying to change shit you have no power to change. This is what happens in recovery. Recovery is not a self-help program. It's a reliance on a higher power program. Yeah. We tell the truth and we don't do much about it, actually. We just follow the basic regimen of a program of living. Yeah. Yeah. And every time you want to get specifically in something, you miss the whole boat because the alphabet doesn't go A, B, C, D, E. It goes A, K, J, F. Yes. So what you're thinking, I should, just like in AA, sometimes you'll hear someone talk for 20 minutes. They're coming in and they are fucked. They are. They have court cases. They have no money. They don't have a car. And after 20 minutes, and you go, yeah, you're fucked. And they go to a meeting. And what? I just told you I don't have a place to stay. I have no money. And what the hell? It makes no sense to that insane logic, which is the great part of it. You go to a meeting and they're like, what? How am I going to go to the meeting? That's our suggestion. And you know what happens? If they do, something's going to happen. And they're going to get relief concerning all those things, not looking directly at all those things. Yeah. Because all those things are being covered by a big shadow of an elephant in the room, which is active addiction and active alcoholism. And if that's not dealt with, all the other shit doesn't matter because it's going to be more shit. Yeah. I knew a lady that I did a thing with for 11 years, and she talked about going into this facility. It used to be on Howard Street. And she was great to speak there because she'd been in all the programs in the facility, and she was now 11 years sober, right? And she told the story every once a month that I heard for 11 years, that when she went to this place, they started talking to her and they said, hey, listen. And she said, well, I have a job, I have a boyfriend, I have an apartment. And so I don't want to come in. And they said, well, if you don't come in, you're not going to have an apartment, a job, and a boyfriend. And that's exactly what happened to her. And then she came in, and she was an incredible speaker. But what happened is something occurred, and at 11 years, she went back out. And the door of her apartment was open, and she was dead naked for a couple of days. Yeah. Yeah. So this is what can happen. So this message to me, I came through it the other way. I had completely been defeated by this idea of self. And so the hearing from Buddhism of a non-self, or that there is no self, was great news, because it seemed like my ass got completely kicked by this thing we called self in the big book of AA. Yeah. So I'm all for it. And the beautiful thing is, non-duality showed me the robbery that I was missing. Yeah. I was still trying to get out of self as self. I had no idea that when I was studying self as a topic, I was in the act of being identified as self. Yeah. I had no idea. But then I heard it in non-duality. And because that was a fact inside, it triggered it. Yeah. It wasn't like the evidence wasn't in there. There was nothing to trigger it. And non-duality triggered it. Non-duality triggered a set of dominoes falling that were like avalanches inside. Yeah. It made complete sense. Yeah. So I saw the bondage of self is the act of being identified as self. Yeah. And most people that are in the act of being identified as self do not know they're in the act of being identified as self. So the understanding of non-duality can be a fucking great bell to wake us up. Yeah. Because where do you think that they got the idea of self can't get out of self? It wasn't in the book. It came out of people's experience trying to do just that for years in the program of recovery. They were trying to get out of self as the self they wanted to get out of. And the greatest way to explain that is non-duality. Yeah. We were trying to get out of a non-existent thing as an existent thing. Yeah. Yeah. If you see you're not the non-existent thing, there's no drive to get out of it because it doesn't exist, first of all. Yeah. Who's chanting they're not a body all day? Only a body identification. What spirit doesn't chant it's not a body? It's very clear it's not a body. There's no confusion. It's us as supposedly spirit taking ourselves to be a body, chanting I'm not a body, which only reinforces the body identity. Yeah. So the whole explanation that Ramana put there, the presupposing, the mechanicalness of the whole thing, and if you're not seeing it, you're looking from the effects. Yeah. And you are going to find out sooner or later, maybe the hard way, that self has been trying to get out of self. Yeah. Instead of realizing you're not that, then there's no trying to get out of it because you're not in it. Yeah. The greatest answer to attempting to get out of something is when you realize you're not in it. You cannot escape from an imaginary place. You cannot arrive at where you already are. It's impossible. You can act like you're arriving, but every time you arrive at where you already are, it tells you on having never left. That's what you hear. All right. Then you make another plan and you arrive once again, and it greets you with the little flower thing, whispers on having never left, with the hopes that enjoy the trips. Yeah. But you're not going anywhere. You're right where you are at all times, not as a thing, but as what you are. Yeah. And there can't be a special somewhere in everywhere that's not located in everywhere. Yeah. So how can I miss you? Yeah. I want to miss you. I want to miss you. I do. I want to miss you. I want to miss you. I want to miss this. I know you can't reach that far, so I can throw over your head, but I can't miss everywhere. And that's what we're talking to. I'm not talking to you. That doesn't go anywhere. It doesn't. It doesn't go anywhere because then you believe you're the hearer of the message while you're actually the hearing of the message. Yeah. As soon as it gets claimed being the hearer of the message, you've neutered the message. Yeah. I have it all the time when people would be new to this idea of selfing and then they feel like they got it and they call me and they go, I've been selfing all day. I said, that's not it. That feeling of being the you that's been selfing all day, that's it. Yeah. Or the selfing's driving me crazy. No, that's not it. There's no me to be driven crazy. There's the claiming of being driven crazy, and that implies a you, and then you live as that you. Yeah. What you're not is manufactured. What you are isn't. Yeah. What you're not, that's why we believe coming from what we're not, we take the idea of consciousness. If right now we're awake, everyone, we're all awake right now. You can seem to be asleep to that fact, but it's a fact, or you can seem to be awake to that fact. Yeah. But if you look at, if this awakeness is conscious of things right now, does it seem to demonstrate any thought or effort to be conscious? Is it sweating when it's seeing? Is it feeling like, no, does it? Then why would you believe through thought and effort you could arrive there? How could you believe through thought and effort you could arrive at that which demonstrates no thought or effort? Isn't that insane? And it's like when you read a book, that time in that bookstore in San Rafael, it blew my mind. They had a book, 900 pages on consciousness. Why would consciousness want to read a book on consciousness? It's 900 pages. Isn't that insane? If being ourselves reality, why would you want to read a 900-page book about reality? Yeah, this is reality. Yeah. Seeing, hearing, feeling, taste. Yeah, all is what, there you go. So, yeah, this has just happened. And this is an important thing, I feel, if you're new to this, which is there's time and space here, and a process is of time. Like if you build this house, it takes time. Yeah, it's a process. Now, I humbly believe the mental activity that produces this sense of self is faster than any other process. I do. You feel like a doer in a half a second after you've done something. It is super fast. And I humbly do not believe any process can beat this process. Yeah. So what happens if you try to apply a process to beat this process? It's just like he talked about your spiritual practices themselves are trying to be applied to a previous process. How can they destroy it while they're reinforcing it? Yeah. So this sense of self is faster than the process to become a non-self. And so it's going to inject all the processes that imply they may lead you to being a non-self with the self ingredient. Yeah. And the non-self antidote ain't getting shot into the first process. It overrides it. It's like a virus that has met all this shit. Yeah. And it's always got the first hand because it's the first process. I do not believe things we do after can affect that which is already before. I don't. But I do believe the process that before infects the processes that come after. Yeah. So every time you do something, you feel like a doer of it every time, don't you? Where did the doer come from? You weren't a doer when you were a baby. It grew it through the brain. Yes. Yeah. When everything else, so everything, even being a non-doer, you're trying to do. So you see that first process, its infection goes through everything that comes after. And what comes after cannot be an antidote to that which is before. But we are before that because we are not of time. We are not a process. We are not of time. Yeah. So here we are. And basically, this gunslinger is never concerned. It always is going to win. But when it confronts that, it loses because timelessness has the gun out all the time. It doesn't draw, it just is. And so finally, you see the process that you used to look from. You see it, you become aware of it. Instead of trying to be aware of it as the crowning idea of the process as a self, you become aware of the process of selfing. If you don't, what you're going to do is try to become aware as a self about other processes. Don't you see it? So what we are, not what we're not, is what's reliable. Because what we are is not of time and not of process. Yeah. And here is the antidote to that process of selfing. Every other antidote is going to be applied by an idea of self, which is just going to reinforce the idea of selfing. Yeah. Because every other process is going to be seen as you doing it. You're going to be the main character of the process. In non-duality, you're not the main character of the process. The main character of the process is what's before everything. Yeah. That's why we don't ask that who it is. We ask what we're not, who am I? Yeah. We want to ask what we're not, who am I? Yeah. And then you'll see it's not you. And when you see it's not you, you're seeing it from awareness. You're not seeing it from the process in time. Yeah, because you're not doing shit. You're not moving anything. You're not wishing else something was changed. You're not doing nothing. There's no process to combat or to meet the other process. You just see it unprocessing. You see it before it. It's the only thing that ever worked with me. Yeah. All the other thing, let's say you read a book on meditation. The head also heard the reading of the book of meditation. Now the head has you as a meditator, and it's just waiting for you to go on your first retreat. And as your ass is going to meet the cushion, it already has you as the meditator, which is going to nullify the effects of the meditation. Just like Ramana said, yeah. How are you going to beat it? How are you going to beat it when all the other processes are after this process? Yeah. You feel like a person before anything else. Yeah. You feel like a doer before all the non-doing or everything else. You feel like a doer. That's not going to change. You're just going to, it's not going to mean what it used to mean. You're going to see that it's all mechanical. You're not feeling like a doer, and you shouldn't be doing that. It's a mechanical reaction. This is where I meet so many people that are still stuck with volition concerning this shit. They still believe they're doing it. Yeah. And let's say they have a big opening, and then a day or two later, because they include being this, all this shit that they're not, when that doesn't get the big awakening, they disqualify themselves. Well, I've got more work to do. You're not going to change the fucking programming. Yeah. It's just like a snake. You can be super nice to it. It's probably going to bite you. And when you ask it why, it's going to say, hey, I'm a snake. Yeah. This manufacturing has a defined agenda. It's called self-centeredness. Yeah. We're looking at everything as how it pertains to self, that which we're not. Yeah. That doesn't have the ability to change that much. What you do is you lose interest in it. So instead of it being the only source of news, it's now one of many stations you can listen to. Yeah. And it's not taking the whole screen up, it's appearing in a part of the screen. Yeah. And with the space around of the screen, it minimizes its grandiosity. Yes. When it's saying it has a big plan and design, you realize all these plans are little and small. Yeah. It gives you such a better proportion where, I don't know, I just call it traveling lighter, because this is, yeah, well, it doesn't give you peace. You are peace in a sense. Yeah. So it gives you peace about other things, and then being peace becomes obvious. I don't believe you get peace. Exactly. That's what we're talking about. We're not doing anything here. We haven't said anything about doing. We've said a lot about doer and doing, not us doing it. There's no advice given here. We're not given any practice or plan. We're hopefully disarming all those intentions by the recognition that being ourselves reality, the greatest mystery is you're wanting to attain reality. Yeah, that would be doing. We're not saying anything about doing. Yeah, yes, there's tons of doing. As Buddha said, events happen, deeds are done, but there's no individual doer thereof. This is the point. So, yes. And it's just exactly that. Not you being, but being. Yeah. Not you being. You being has a lot of willing and wasing in it. Being is different. Yeah. So this is having the central point of self, which isn't a central point, and losing in that interest, instead of being self-centered, it'd be centered. Yes. Yeah. And the centered wouldn't be something that was acquired or made. It was just seemingly forgotten, truly. And a lot of times when self-centeredness is looking to get centered, it's just more self-centeredness. So this is recognizing you're not that at self-centeredness, and maybe you find yourself centered. Maybe you find yourself centered in contentment and satisfaction. Yes.
To explain how it is that you get from point A to point B to have this peace. How would you explain it?
I would say you don't go to point A to point B.
Of course, for most laymen, they wouldn't understand that.
Well,
The masks understand.
no, I would do that in recovery. Recovery, I feel it's appropriate to be helpful. Non-duality, I don't think it is. I think you should let people be with their own devices, and maybe they'll see they're not their devices. Yeah. Yeah. So never had many people understand right away. And that's part of the process, because what's trying to understand the message can't, which that's great news to me. And when they would constantly tell me that everything this guy says goes over my head, I was successful, because that's where I was aiming. So really, when I'm sitting here, the objects that I see are more an obstacle to the message. Yes. Yeah. So basically, we just described the activity, I believe, of what we're not, where many people are describing that their activities. I don't believe they're our activities. Yeah. I don't believe awareness is active in the way we think a body is active. Yeah. So we try to describe what we're not with the hopes that what you are hears it. That's simple. Yeah. And so I don't look at peace as an arrival place. I look at it as it says in recovery, the ability to enjoy peace of mind has been reestablished. Yeah. Just by losing interest in self. And the whole big book of AA pivots on losing interest in self. Around page 63. All the miraculous shit is based on losing interest in self. And therefore, the lack of miraculous shit is based on a credible interest in self. Yes? As it says in the book, perhaps there's a better way, trusting the infinite rather than finite self. So obviously, our dilemma has been an overarching trust in finite self. I don't say there's a person that's doing it, but there's faith in finite self. And for many of us, it almost killed us, yes? And so we entered a program by following simple suggestions. That faith in finite self was moved into faith in the infinite, yeah? And then all of these newfound miracles became obvious, like new power flowing in, a sense of the conscious presence, learning life, I could face life successfully, all this shit, yeah? All rooted in loss of interest in self. How are you going to lose interest in self as self? You can't. It's sort of like when in the big book they say, quit playing God, it doesn't work, yes? Now, when I first heard that, I just assumed I was playing God, yeah? And now I've got to quit playing God, which was like, how the fuck am I going to do that? Yeah. Yeah. But then with a little bit of time, I realized I'm not that which is playing God. And so quit playing God was I quit smoking. It doesn't mean smoking stops. Tons of people are smoking. I just quit smoking. So when I saw I wasn't that which was playing God, that was the quitting of playing God. And it became obvious to me, if playing God tries to quit playing God, that's playing God ad infinitum. If that which is playing God tries to quit playing God, that's playing God. It will never get out of that. Self will never get out of self. This is the beauty of non-duality. It tells you, no matter where you think you are or what has happened, it says you've never been in self. There's not a thing called self. Yeah. So if I've been spending a lot of time trying to get out of something I'm not in, that understanding explains a fucking whole lot why it always failed. Because how can I get out of something I'm not in? So this life changed as I realized my head is trying to get out of shit that it's never been in, and it's trying to get into shit it's never been out of. Yeah. And do I want to follow that direction? No, I don't. Yeah. So what happened? Migration of interest and attention went towards the infinite, and it's allowed a traveling lighter where at the end, a day was unbearable. Yeah, I had to get out of myself. I had to do something. And I had given up all hope in that life because I went to 2 years in Delancey Street, went to college, enjoyed myself, made friends. They told me that period of being Mr. Hyde, the rather long, was over. I was going to be Dr. Jekyll. When I left Delancey Street, graduated, and I went back out, it was very demoralizing. And I just basically, that seemingly hopeless state of mind or body had become hopeless state of my body. I just wanted to stay fucked up until I went to jail, institution, or death again. And then life intervened and struck me sober. And then that night I was introduced to a way of life to extend that miracle. And it's been working 36 years, pretty good. Yeah. I was the last one to know what was coming because I had really given up all hope. Yeah. I had already parked at institutions and death, jail, institutions and death. And I just wanted to stay oblivious till the end, next one. Yeah. Yeah. No human power could do it. And I believe that's the same thing in spirituality. Many people in spirituality are using human power to do something that can't be done. You cannot become what you already are, which is spiritual. You can unbecome what you're not, which is what the program does. But you cannot become what you are. It's already done. You already are it. Yeah. You can't relive that. You've done it's a fact. Yeah. And this is the fundamental thing that non-duality clears up. Yeah. Because in this case, spirituality that can really be frustrating to many people proves to be incredible because of it's frustrating. Because it hasn't worked, it finally shows you why it doesn't work is because you already are that which you're trying to become. Hallelujah, like you said, being. And then peace isn't something that's acquired. It's just readily, it's more available than ever because you're not in, your head is agitated. Its nature is agitation. Yeah. If you talk to the head about peace, it gets anxious about it. Yeah. What's going to happen tomorrow and shit like that. It can't enjoy it. You drop an alcoholic into heaven, it's hell in a day. You can't. Just trying to, it's like trying to make a monkey sit still for an hour. The head is agitated. How are you going to find peace? How can you even follow the dictates of Ramana Maharshi? Be still and quiet. You can't as the head. It's fucking agitated. It's moving constantly, like our dog Lola. She has to get super tired because she just her eyebrows are moving and every second she's agitated completely until she's exhausted and falls asleep, usually preceded by a burp or something. And but usually we're just at the beach today. We're both like chilling, still the dog's it's just going on. There's nothing, it's not her fault. Yeah. But what we're relying on is unreliable. The first thing that goes is its role as the GPS, hopefully. That's what AA does. AA takes over the GPS role of the head. So it's not, you're not going to listen. Yeah. It says left 100 times a day. You maybe once you make a left. Yeah. So a big chunk of its job, its self-appointed job, is GPS. When that's taken away from it, then it's just like it's like a guy and a mailman in a corporation that keeps sending messages to the CEO. You're gonna be fucked. This and that. It doesn't have any big role anymore. Yeah. Yeah. So it wants, in addiction, as you know, it wants you to act out. It wants you to do something. If it's only in the head, it's not enough. It wants to break through that membrane of what you can't see and then have something seen. And it's constantly bombarding that little membrane with thoughts. Just that, but and as soon as you know, if you take a sip of that bottle, the genie has more than 3 wishes for you. You're gonna be fucking taken for a ride. Yeah. But the freedom is from the insanity that precedes the first drink. This is what gets restored to sanity. You don't take the first drink ever. So everything else is academic, literally. Yeah. The phone numbers of the rehab, you know them to help other people, but you don't need phone numbers of the rehab or anything like that. Or I've got how to deal with this and less harm reduction. No, you're just not drinking and use it ever. Yeah. It's like it never existed. It's pretty cool. Now, how could you do that? You can enjoy it. You can't produce it. Yeah. I have the ability to enjoy it, no ability to produce it. Yeah. Yeah. So there you go. Anyone there? I just completely lost that there was a Zoom going.
We're
Oh,
here. We're here, Paul.
yeah.
We don't
All
have
right.
any hands raised right now or any.
Oh, great. That's good. Well, we'll start saying goodbye. Yes.
Dana has something she wants to say to you though, real quick, I think.
All right, Dana.
Mhm.
You missed your opportunity, Dana.
Dana, you're muted. You have to unmute first.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm understanding what non-duality is, but I found something that Ramana Maharshi said, and I wanted to read it to you. It said, there's neither creation or destruction, neither destiny, not free will, neither path nor achievement. This is the final truth.
Yes. So that would be, those are dualistic things, right?
Oh, they are dualistic.
Well, listen to it's saying one or the other. So it's saying it's
Okay.
neither created nor not created. That's duality. So he's talking non-duality there. Yeah. Do you see it?
Yeah, I do. I get
Again,
it.
but read it again. So you're saying there's neither existence nor non-existence. See, so the opposite of one is getting negated as with the one. So it's saying it's negating existence and it's negating non-existence. That's non-duality.
Right.
Non-duality
Okay.
is a negation of opposites, of two-ness. Yeah. We
Okay.
are representative of two-ness because there's a subjective experience being seemingly had by an object. That is duality. And this
Okay.
message is non-duality. Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, you see it?
Yeah, I do.
So he uses, all right, existence. What could be the most opposite of existence? Non-existence. He says you're neither, it's neither existence nor non-existence. Yeah. So these are taking it to an extreme pole and saying the whole pole doesn't exist. Yeah. This isn't about, to me, humbly, the way I see non-duality, its movement is negation. I do not believe it's affirmation because I believe you're the affirming event. Your being reality is the affirming event. All the other stuff is needed to be negated because there seems to be confusion about being reality, obviously. Hmm? Hmm. Yes, yes. So, but the way you get to reality is not through reality. You get it through negation of the falsehood, really. Yeah. So in my sense, this is how it feels with me. It's I am the seeing of what I'm not. That's how it feels. That's how it translates. I couldn't come to what I was, but I could come to it because I never was anywhere other than there. Yeah. How are you going to come to where you already are? The only way you can seemingly come to where you already are is negating where you think you are. That's the only way you seem to come to where you are because you're already here. So the idea that you're not here, it needs to be negated. That's all. Yeah. It's not about, yeah, yeah. If you are here and you're wanting to arrive, that which is driving you to want to arrive would probably be cool to look at and see as not you, because it's not serving you, because it wants to try to bring you to where you already are. Let's get down, let's get on with other shit. Yeah, literally. Let's get on with other shit. Let's stop wasting time trying to do something that has never needed to be done. If you believe these people, Ramana Maharshi being ourselves reality, that's pretty clear definition. There's no time in that. It's the present tense condition. It doesn't say there's 800 ways to disqualify yourself from it, and there's thousands of ways to make you more being yourself reality. No, it just says being ourselves reality. End of story. Yeah. Yeah. All right. Yes, Dana.
Yes, thank you. Yes, thank you.
You're welcome. Kathleen,
Yes, thank you.
Mike,
Beautiful song,
yeah.
thank you.
Yeah. Betty, Nevada. David. William Stamps. Frank
Thank you.
Tuzon. Terry Camarillo. James Olson. I saw him, Alan Olson. The Olson brothers. Wow. Kerry. Now there's a non-duality. Yeah, we want to negate James and Alan Olson. Yeah. I don't want to affirm James and negate Alan. I want to negate both of them. Yeah. Kerry. Nice to see you, Kerry. Zoe Banks, always a pleasure. Yeah. Eric Platt. Yeah. Chris D. Nice to see you, Chris. Yeah. Sam. Zoom user. Dennis W. Fletch. Phone number, Saraswati. I think I got everyone there. Hey, I really appreciate everyone showing up. Thanks a lot. We have been in this beautiful setting, and it's finally got cool in Novato. It's pretty nice. Yeah, right here at the lagoon. Thanks for Heidi for allowing us to use this space. And hey, everyone, thank you. I'll see you soon. Tomorrow's the Zoom at the recovery at 10:30 Pacific time. And I'll see you guys. Thank you. Nice to see you, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul.
Oh,
You're welcome. Yeah.
thank you,
Thanks,
Dana.
Paul.
You're welcome, Kathleen.